good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Whatever time you're watching the Student Athlete Playbook video conversation, we say thank you. I'm Barry Brown, author of the Amazon bestseller, The Student Athlete Playbook, Success in the Classroom, Sports, and Life, and also a member of Youth Education in Sports, the nonprofit organization that serves youth and help them become who they are destined to be. Character matters, being a good person matters, work ethic matters. And you know what we do? We bring the top youth service providers, the best coaches, the best parents, the student athletes that are really students and athletes, and that are using sports as a tool to get somewhere in life and make a difference out here in the world. And today is no different. Today, we have a young lady. Her name is Britnee Davis, social media strategist, and she's here to have a great conversation about what's going on in the world, what's going on social media, which is a lot of stuff going on always, and how to maneuver that atmosphere. Social media is one of the biggest phenomenons I know I've seen in my life, and it's unbelievable. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So Miss Davis is here to bring some insight to the game, tell us more about who she is, how all-inclusive sports works, and to have a great conversation. So, hey, I met Britnee, and let's show young people real talk. I need y'all to understand this. Parents, too. Everything we do in life usually is about relationships. And I met Miss Britnee through her sister, Mina, because we use elegant occasions over here in Atlanta, Georgia, Metro Atlanta, Georgia, over in South Fulton area. Shout out to Fairburn, Georgia. So we use that facility every year for our youth luncheon. It is actually called the South Fulton Scholarship Student Athlete Luncheon. We've been doing it since 2015, and we found a home at Elegant Occasions with Miss Mina and her husband, and we're just delighted that they host the event for us at their facility, and it's just been a great deal, a great theme, a great atmosphere anytime we're at Elegant Occasions. So if you need an event venue, you need something special, a nice place, they have 2 locations. Please Google Elegant Occasions or visit elegantOccasionsEventCenter.com and make sure it happens for you. All right. So now, with no further delay, let's get into this conversation with Miss Britnee Davis. How you doing today, Britnee?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How's the weather? It's real hot over here down here in Georgia. So how's the weather in your part of the world?
It's hot. I'm here in the DC area, specifically Virginia side of the DMV. Everybody get real technical about it, but it's pretty hot. It was 94, so we blazing up here.
Okay. Yeah. I think we in the same atmosphere. Okay. Well, hey, Britnee, we're gonna jump right into it. Thank you for taking time to be with us. We've been trying to do this for a while now. So I finally got you stationary. I'm finally stationary. I think we both been traveling, and we'll be able to do the conversation today. So, Britnee, let's talk about where you're from first and foremost, and then how has social media, basically been in your life this far? Like, how important has it been in your life so far? But we'll start with where you're from, and then you can move on to the importance of social media in your specific.
Yeah, for sure. So originally from Miami, Florida, born and raised, 305 all day, every day. I'm sure Mina let you know we don't play by the 305. So.
Y'all do not play about that 305. My daughter's down at the University of Miami, so I know a little bit about Miami. This is a family show, but me and my boys used to take a boys trip down there every year. So yeah. Much love to Miami. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. We appreciate all the love. Okay. But yeah, as far as social media actually became a part of my life, and it's one of the reasons why I'm in the field that I'm in today. When I was growing up, I was always really good at creative writing. I played sports, so kind of never really put the two together as far as sports journalist, even though it was right there in front of me. But when I got in high school, I would go to the high school football games. I went to Miami New Orleans Senior High School, and I would go to the football games. And I'm standing on the sidelines because I had access to the field because I was in the yearbook club. And I would just tweet out the scores. Miami, New Orleans up 21-7. It's halftime. So-and-so just had a touchdown. And people would start following me. Hey, what's the score? Who got the last touchdown? And then from there, it turned into me going to different games doing the same exact thing. And it wasn't with intention, really. It was just, I'm here. I just saw a cool play. I'm going to tweet it out. So then the kind of idea of the reporter girl developed. People would call me the reporter girl. Oh, you're at this game? Are you going to be at this game Saturday night? We need the scores. So social media is really my first kind of dipping my foot into sports media. And from then, it's been a part of everything I've done. I've worked at news stations where, even though I was there to be a TV reporter, we would have to tweet out from the scene. I've worked in social media as a digital producer where we had reporters out in the field and they're letting me know what's happening and I'm tweeting it out from the news accounts. On to now where I'm working with different athletes and businesses who need social media to promote themselves and build their brand. So it really started back in high school, no intention, but it's kind of gone with me from there.
Wow. So listen, young people, you just heard Mrs. Davis talk about just taking advantage of an opportunity, being on the sideline in high school, and just start doing something very productive and positive by sending out the scores of the game. And look at this, it's turned into an actual career for her. Wow, that's beautiful, Britnee. That's beautiful. So now, play number 5 in the student athlete playbook is social media and technology. Like, what would be your definition? Like, if somebody would say, hey, Britt, what is your definition of social media? What would you say?
I would say having the same conversations you would have in person with your friends, with your family, with your teammates, but having those conversations online. A lot of times people feel like social media is a place where there's a lot of drama and a lot of issues, which there can be. Social media can be a lot. But at the same time, if I'm watching a football game, like I mentioned, and I'm saying, wow, what a great play by so-and-so, there's millions of other people watching that same game. So social media is a place where we're having that same conversation together. If I just dropped 50 points in the game last night, I'm telling my mom, I'm telling my dad, go on social media, post a photo. So to me, social media is a place where the same conversations you're able to have in person, and we often have in person, it's just a way to do it online.
Wow. Same conversation that you have in person, you have it online. Social. So that's the social part. And then the media part is just being online or whatever platform you're using from.
Absolutely.
Facebook
right.
to Instagram to Snapchat or whatever. Wow.
That's it.
Okay. So now social media, what are the top, what would you say are the top social media platforms? I know Twitter turned to X. What, for a young person, what would you recommend, or what are the top media platforms for young people right now that you
so I would say, as an up-and-coming athlete, if I was in high school, middle school, whatever right now, I would focus on building my Instagram and my TikTok. And the reason why I say that is because, as someone who works with different brands, that's where they're looking to promote. They want to reach that Generation Z, Generation X, all these letters that they put on the generation. They really just saying the young people, the people who are 12 and 13 right now, that is who they want to reach. I was watching a video the other day and someone asked, Will Smith asked someone who was young. I think Will Smith, the guy was like 12 years old. And he was saying, if you found out about Bad Boys, where would you most likely be able to find out about the movie coming out? And the young guy said, maybe if I saw it in the ad on TikTok. So these companies are playing into wherever the young people are. So that's what I would say. Focus on Instagram, focusing on TikTok. As a consumer, though, my favorite platform is Twitter/X. And that is because I like to consume information. I like to consume news. So right now, free agency and everything is popping off with NBA. My thing is going on Twitter, and I'm following ESPN. I'm following these insiders. That's where I get my news from. Twitter is like my newspaper. A lot of times you'll see people like my dad and my mom back in the day, they would get the newspaper and they would like read it through and everything. Twitter is my version of that. So that's my favorite platform to use. But I would say, as a young person, if you are figuring out what you should be focused on building, I would say Instagram followed by TikTok.
Wow. love it because this is what this, and the reason I asked that question is because you hear young people, you hear coaches, you hear parents talking about social media, and you mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of negative stuff on there. But what Absolutely. I love about what you have been talking about right now is the positive aspect of it, and how you can use it, and which one specifically as a student athlete, where you put in your huddle highlight tape on.
Right.
You're putting your message where, hey, I just got an offer from such and such college. So it's IG and TikTok for the student athletes, and for the consumer, like you say, you want to consume information, you're looking at X, formerly Twitter.
Right. And a lot of times I've seen different coaches and I've seen different brands, when they want to know more about a person, they go to their Instagram first. A lot of times Twitter is text only. A lot of people aren't posting real-time videos or real-time photos on Twitter. They usually do that on their Instagram story or in feed. So I kind of see Instagram as your website. You don't want to show all football photos. Maybe you're watching a game. Maybe you're out with family. A lot of times people would post those snippets there. So Instagram is super important. And there's space for all of them. There's a purpose for TikTok. There's a purpose for Twitter. There's a purpose for Snapchat. All serve different purposes. But I would say, in order not to be overwhelmed, if you're looking for step one, definitely Instagram, followed by TikTok.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely seen that the IG has been the main place for the student athletes. So I agree with you 100%. And I'm getting used to it. I'm an old school guy, so I'm Facebook all day. But IG is so funny. I think I told you this story previously, but I reiterated just for this. I was just to show you that I'm learning, Britnee. I'm in the airport, headed to a school or what have you, wherever I was going, and young lady, she was from Chicago, so we're talking, and she's like a photographer, videographer type. So she was showing me, she was like, oh, we were talking. Then she said, oh, well, let me show you some of my work. And then boom, first thing she pulled up was her IG and was showing me the pictures on the IG. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then, I'm not thinking, because I'm still in the old school fashion of, oh, what's your phone number? Let me get your phone number to stay in touch or what have you. And then before I could even say anything like that, she was like, oh, what's your IG? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh yeah, I do have an IG. So I had to go to my IG because I forgot the young people, they don't ask for phone numbers anymore. First thing they ask for is your IG. And so I was able to pull up my page. I had some current, Britnee, I did have some current stuff on there too.
There you go.
Good. She's like, oh, what do you do? And I said, oh, well, I'm a youth inspirational speaker. I work with student athletes. She's like, oh man. And she was checking out some of my posts. So I got it. This is what you do now. I got to train myself. Hey, what's your IG versus what's your phone number?
Yep.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And recently, when it comes to at least jobs in media, that's what people want to see. A lot of times now we're kind of moving away from the traditional 4-year degree. A lot of photographers, videographers, freelancers, they're not going that route. They're building up, they're self-taught, and their portfolio is on their Instagram. So they're not walking in with photos to show you anymore. They're not walking in with, here's a link to my website. You can just go to their Instagram and see everything they've done. So to your point, it's like the new website. People don't want your phone number. What's your website? What's your business card? That's your website.
That's your website. Wow. I love it. Yeah. I mean, it's just something, we have to adjust. And I learned this in business a long time ago. And thank you for saying that about it being your website. I agree with you. Everybody has to learn how to adjust to the times that are happening in the business world. And in our, like you say, in our social personal worlds, you have to make an adjustment on how people communicate and how people do business. And by far, IG, Facebook, even LinkedIn have been monsters on making connections and people doing business and connecting. I say this all the time. We live in a, once I learned it, I started saying it. We live in a connection economy. So everything is connected. And social media has made us even more connected than ever before.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, let me ask you this then. Overall, do you believe social media has been a positive or a negative force in society, or both? I mean, because in most cases it's always a combination. But what would be your immediate response to that question? Has social media been a positive or a negative force in society?
Yeah, I honestly think it's whatever you allow it to be. That's how I would answer that question. I think a lot of times we see the negative side where it's a lot of bad news being posted, or you see someone doing what you wish you were doing, and now you're jealous or you're hating on them, or you want to know how they got that and why I didn't get that. So I think if you allow yourself to kind of go down that rabbit hole of negativity, it can be that, because everything you need to go down that path is there. But on the other hand, I think of moments like the pandemic where so many people were doing church on social media. So many people were having conversations on social media. Man, I'm sitting in the house, I can't go outside. What y'all doing? And I remember those moments watching the NBA. They had no fans. They were in the bubble. And I'm tweeting with my fellow Heat fans, like, oh my goodness, we're about to win the championship. We didn't win the championship. But I remember those moments, just being able to be connected. So there is a lot of positivity there. And also, I think, to your point about connection, I think of my high school friends who I would not have any connection with to this point because I've moved so many places, but social media allows me the opportunity to see how they're doing, see their spouses, see their children. So I think on both ways, whatever you allow it to be, if you wish you had this certain lifestyle, if you wish you were the one with children or married, then it's negative because it's just making all of your negative feelings and your insecurities pull up. But if you're someone on social media who is making those $1 million for one post, if you're that person who are getting these brand deals and doing different things like that, then it's positive for you. So whatever you allow it to be is what I would say has been positive in my life to a great degree. Like I say, my career is in social media. If social media didn't exist, I would be looking for a new job right now because that's what I work in. So, but I've also had moments on social media where I'm like, man, it's so much going on in the world, and I feel myself kind of falling into negativity. Like, is anything good in the world? Is anything good on social media? So whatever you allow it to be, the elements and the ingredients are there. So that would be my answer to that question.
And that's a great answer. You know, whatever it is for you, whatever way you're using it, that's what it's gonna be. And it's almost like the I can't situation. If you say I can, you absolutely can. If you say I can't, you're absolutely right.
That's it.
It's what you make it. Yeah, it's what you make it. So I love it. Now, with that being said, let me throw this in here for a second. So yes, social media exists. It created a lot of different careers. AI. How does artificial intelligence? I know AI has been around for a long time. We just didn't necessarily call it AI in that form that we're calling it now. What's being publicized in the whole now, and definitely how it's being used. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on how AI is developing and being used in the world right now?
I think it can be useful. I think on one hand, it can be very harmful because there's a lot of images out there that aren't real. There's a lot of sounds that aren't real. You think you're hearing someone speak and it's some AI version of their voice. So let me state, it can be very harmful and deceptive. But I think on the other hand, working in the media space, I've seen graphic designers use AI to help them with their designs. So I know, for example, like, let's say the Florida Panthers, great example, just won the Stanley Cup. If you see a graphic with the players on it, some of the background could have been AI generated. And that means that designer didn't have to spend those 3 extra hours making the background when they can just pull the background from AI. Like, these are real things that I've seen people in my profession use AI for. Even with my podcast, when I edit my podcast, I recently learned that I can run the audio through an AI generator and it can remove all of the background noise. So I think it can be very useful, and I can speak specifically to my profession in that way. But again, I know, especially with the actors and the writers, there have been a lot of push and pull about the use of AI and taking jobs. So I do think that element is there, but I also think it has some benefits.
Yeah, that's I think that's the pros and cons of it. The fraud element of it is very, very I guess very what's the word I want to use?
Yeah, it can be harmful.
That causes concern,
Mm-hmm.
major concern.
Absolutely.
Fraud part of it. So at the end of the day, I guess the question is, we have to push everybody to use AI appropriately in our businesses, in our personal lives. We must definitely choose to use it the right way, and then that way it helps us work better, be more efficient in our work days, and that's what it's all about. Now, when it comes to taking people's jobs, Britnee, what do you think about that part? Because I've heard people talk about it actually replacing human beings in certain areas. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's tough. And I feel like it's one of those things, to your point, you have to pick and choose your spots, because when we go to the grocery store now, see very little cashiers. You see self-checkout line longer. It's a cashier wide open who can help you. But some of us rather go to self-checkout, myself included. In my mind, that's a version of that technology, that AI, where it's just like a lot of us are leaning that way. But then on the other hand, when we're on the phone and we're calling the business, we don't want it. We're like, speak to a representative. We don't want to talk to the AI prompt that's trying to help us out. So I think in our day-to-day, we already see it kind of stepping in and coming into our spaces. And I feel like we just have to pick and choose how we want to use it. But I do think it's scary, because a lot of times we hear about unemployment numbers, we hear about the economy. So you don't want to see anyone lose their job, but I think we're already starting to see it.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Definitely. I can definitely see where it's replacing people. Like you say, like we've seen it at the grocery stores. We've seen it at I'm gonna go back because I know you're a little bit younger than me, but it used to be when I was a kid, I used to see at the gas stations before they had self-serve gas stations. Yo, it was actually somebody that came and pumped your gas.
Oh,
Wipe
wow.
the windows down. Yeah, check your tires.
Bring that back.
Yeah, at the gas station. And I remember that. That's one of the first things I ever saw business-wise. They said, oh man, I want to own a gas station one day. Like that's the first business I dreamed of as a little kid, of owning a gas station, because of those men and women that would come out and pump the gas for you, clean your windshield, and check your tires and stuff. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Oh yeah, I need to own one of these one day. So yeah, and that just shows how time has changed. Because I mean, you will never see that again. You know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, bring it back though.
Yeah,
check my tires, watch my windshield, please.
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely has its purpose. I mean, and if somebody wanted to invest in a shop like that, I'd be interested to see how that gas station worked in this day and age compared to how I did before, because everybody does it themselves. Like you just mentioned at the grocery store, it's self-checkout now.
Yeah.
It's less cashiers per se. So hey, we're gonna see how this AI continues to work and develop, and I hope we find, like all things, I hope we find a happy medium where a lot of fraud is not taking place, and people are getting taken advantage of because of AI and some of the things people are choosing to do that are not above board. I'll put it like that.
I agree.
What made you want to become a social media trainer and start a social media training company? Like, what made you want to be who you are right now, Britnee?
Yeah, I would say a big part of that is my sister Mina. Mina owns a business.
Shout out to Mina once again.
Yeah, shout out to Mina. And she owns a business, Elegant Occasion. She also does trainings through her business, Ground Zero Business. And she often would reach out to me asking for social media advice, how to build her business, what platform should she be on. She would say, I have this idea. What's the best way to promote it? And I would help her. And she would always say, like, you're really good at this. Like there's something here. And I would do it for work. I would do it in my 9 to 5, but never really thought of the individuals I could help beyond my 9 to 5. And she would always say, like, people need this. Like, people have these questions and it may seem simple to you, but you have the answers to them. And this is a game changer. So I'm like, okay. So again, growing up, always been very close to sports, always kind of worked in sports. And I just thought, I know that I may not be able to help everyone, but who can I help? Like, who are the group of people that I'm around, who are the group, what am I the most knowledgeable about? And it was sports. And again, I started kind of covering sports, so to say, back in high school. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great with the world of NIL and brand and building your brand? It's earlier and earlier now. Wouldn't it be great to help K through 12 athletes, teach them the basics? And when I say basics, I mean some don't have their name in their Instagram. Some don't have, you have college athletes who don't have their school and their bio, just things like that. It seems so simple and it's just like, come on. But when I'm searching that person, I can't find them because they don't have their name on their page. So it was things like that that I thought, if Mina feels like this is helpful, I think someone K through 12 would think this was helpful and their parents would think it was helpful. So I thought to myself, maybe that's where I step into this. And that's how All-InKlusive Sports was born. So I have the podcast aspect of it where I interview K through 12 athletes and kind of share their story in a similar format as this, real conversations, very casual feel to it, like two friends having a conversation, as you mentioned. And then the other side of that is if, beyond that conversation or even outside of that conversation, if they want to learn social media, how to build their brand, ways to set up their account, I'm a resource for them. So I think it was just a matter of coupling my career field and my interest of sports and putting into a way where it's actually serving and helping people beyond, again, my 9 to 5.
I love it. The key thing I got out of that, Britnee, is you actually said to yourself and possibly out loud, who can I help? I'm helping my sister. Mm-hmm. Who else can I help? And with youth education and sports, we talk about it all the time. How do I serve? Mm-hmm. How do I serve? And one of my partners, Hazik, shout out to Hazik Ali, he actually says you have to serve before you deserve.
I agree.
That. I love that. Because if you're serving first and you're putting in the work, then you absolutely are going to deserve the recognition, the love you receive back, and even the compensation that you receive. But you got to do the work first. You got to give something first. And I love that. You asked the question, who can I help? I love it.
For sure.
Yes, ma'am. So now, with your experience and the people you've worked with, which one has been tougher? Which one has been more difficult? Training young people on how to use social media properly, or adults on how to use social media properly? But who would you say from your experience, which demographics is tough?
The young people. The young people are harder than the parents. And the reason why I say that is because most people I've talked to, even casually, the parents want to post their child doing great things. They want to post all the stats. They want to post every video. And they want to know how to do it so they can. But when I talk to the kids, they have a way they want their Instagram to look. They don't want to post too much. They have 0 posts on their feed. Everything they post goes to stories. So it's like, how do you want people to know you play football if you don't want to post about it? How do you want, like I was talking to my little cousin the other day, she went to prom and I asked her, I said, are you going to post first? I don't want to post your photos before you. So let me know when you post. So I'll post and show you love. And she was like, I don't think I'm going to post. And I'm like, you just went to senior prom. You're right. You're not going to post this on social media. And she was like, no, you can go ahead. So to that point, it's just like a lot of times the younger people have this certain way that they want their social media to be. And they don't want to post about it. They know how to do it, but they don't want to do it. And then the parents, they don't know how to do it, but they want to do it. So I would say it's harder to get the kids on board to say hey, you just had this great play, post it. And they're like, I'm good. Right. It's like, all right. Yeah. It's
mentally, that's very interesting. Mentally, where do you think that comes from the young people that don't want to post some certain things? Where do you think that comes from?
I think they don't feel like it's cool. I truly, truly feel like they don't feel like it's cool. And I think a lot of times they feel like the people who got discovered just got discovered out of nowhere, or people just will notice them. But I feel like a lot of things come from branding, a lot of things come from marketing. So you could be the best person at your school, but I'm here in DC. I may have never heard of you. So I don't think kids understand the impact of a post or sharing something. And I also feel like I said, there's this level of I'm too cool. Like I'm good. Like I don't need to post. Like it's okay. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal and it's deeper. Like when I was working at ESPN, I would see us reshare high school highlights. I would see us reshare middle school highlights, all because an athlete or their parents posted it. If you go on SportsCenter Next right now, which is their high school page, you will see a bunch of what we call user generated content, which is people capturing content, and ESPN will ask permission to share it and they will reshare it. So it's just like there is a world where these sports page are also tapping into the younger people, as I mentioned. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want people to know your name, it is putting yourself out there. But I don't know, it's just something about being too cool. And I've literally heard them say like, you know, I don't want to have too much on my page, or like, I don't know. And they literally, I know so many athletes, great athletes, they have 0 posts on their feed. So it's just something about just that nonchalantness of a teenager, I guess. But it is not necessarily in their best interest if you are trying to build and become that household name that most of them want to become.
Wow. That leads right into my next question for you, because I don't understand why they would not want anything on their page. Because I know in the past, I've had to caution young men and young ladies about what they put on their page.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've gotten to the place of they don't even want to put anything on there, which is amazing, because like you mentioned earlier in this conversation, that's the first place a coach is going to go. Check out your social media, just check on your character to see what you're doing, what kind of things you're posting, so they can get an insight on what kind of person you are. And then for you to have nothing on your page, that says something too. Do you really care? And you're not trying to build an image for yourself.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And to that point too, in addition to the coaches, that's where a lot of brands are looking. A lot of people want these NIL deals and they want these things, but I know you play football. I know you play basketball. I'm going to your Instagram to see who you are beyond that. And if you have nothing there, or if you just have football or basketball there, I haven't learned anything by coming to your page. So again, to that idea of your Instagram or whatever being your website, let me see you and your mom. Let me see you in regular clothes outside of your uniform. You know, people get t-shirt deals, people get jeans. Like it's a market for everything. So it's like a lot of times people, again, that I'm too cool or I'm good or I'm this mysterious lifestyle. It's like, all right, that could be money in your pocket down the road. And I know that's not necessarily the focus, especially to someone 12 years old, but down the line, you know, that's again how a lot of people are discovered.
You absolutely, hey, Britnee. I mean, I don't get it, but hey, hopefully they watch this video and they get it, and they understand how important it is for them to build a social media presence, and a positive one at that. With that being said, watching young people post pictures, watching these videos online, this is right in tune with what we've been talking about already. Like you just said it's important. I want you to drill in on how real important it is, how much important it is for our student athletes to display good character, and for them to actually, in general, display good character online and offline. Like, how important is that? The online presence matching your offline presence.
I think that's it right there. I think a lot of times we think of social media as this place that's not real and it's all kind of things on there. And we've already hit on the negative part, but a lot of the positive about social media is getting to see who people are. Man, I just won this award. Man, I just got married. Man, I just so it's just being able to showcase who you are as part of the beauty of social media. So as a young person, as a young athlete, being able to show, you know, I just made varsity. Man, I just got my first offer. It's important to showcase that. And that's good. Allow people to celebrate you. Allow people to see, you know, the moves that you're making. And also when we talk about good character, celebrate your teammates. You know, did your teammate just win
How about
MVP?
that?
Yeah, did your cousin just win a championship? Being able to show that you are a leader, being able to show that you're supportive, those are all things you can do through social media. And those are all things, as we know, coaches look for, employers look for. They want to see that person who's a leader, who's a good person, who's a champion, who's a cheerleader of the people around them. So use social media as a vehicle to do that. And then also, when we talk about that kind of offline matching to online, I meet so many athletes who have done so many great things. Parents will tell me, oh, she just got all A's on her report card, or she just got this much money in scholarship and all this stuff. And I go on social media and I don't know what grade you in. I don't know what school you go. I didn't even know you're an athlete because it's nowhere to be found. So I think it's just important to find that balance of, if you do have a social media, if your parents are allowing you to be in that space, what are some things that you can post that show the real you without getting too personal? You don't want to put everything on there for safety reasons, but what can you put on there that's positive? What can you put on there that shows a glimpse into who you are and all the great things that you are doing? I think social media is a great tool for that. And as I mentioned, down the line, people will come back and see that. I can't tell you how many times, if I'm meeting someone for the first time, like the person you met in the airport, the first thing I do is go on their Instagram. I'm like, oh, wow, like she's my age, or like she went to the same school I went to. Like, you can learn so much from a person's social
Right.
media. So if you have nothing there, unfortunately, there's nothing for people to learn about you. But if you have stuff there that's a true representation of your offline, I think you're putting yourself in a really good position. So use it as a tool. Use social media, don't let it use you. That's what I've heard someone say.
Yeah,
Use it to your benefit, and again, to show that positive image. It is your website.
I love it. You use young people. You use, this is from Mrs. Davis. You use social media. Don't let social media use you. I love it. And Brittany, real talk, when we start talking about social media, I I'm always concerned that the young people are, you said it earlier, too cool, but also, let me throw in there the fact that they don't want to brag about certain academic is community achievements. And that kind of bothers me, because I'm saying that's some of the most positive things you can do that will equal dollars
Hmm.
when these brands see that. So
Absolutely.
young people, parents, let me, you just heard it from Mrs. Davis, Miss Brittany Davis. You just heard it from her just a second ago. Post your positive interactions academically
Hmm.
and socially on your pages in a safe manner, so that you can be recognized for that too. Because you are more than an athlete. You've heard that phrase before. You really are. And if you just think you you should put up your athletic
Hmm.
achievements, no. Put your academic and put your social community achievements on there as well. It will
Yeah,
make a difference. I promise you that. So
absolutely.
that leads that leads directly into Brittany. Now that these young student athletes, I'm talking about, I've even heard people talking to middle school athletes. Now
Hmm.
that these young people can seek and actively profit from name, image, likeness, NIL, name, image, likeness deals, what are your thoughts on the impact of NIL and how it's going to have on high school student athletes and college student athletes as we continue to move forward? What's your opinion and thoughts on that?
Yeah, similar to what we said earlier, I think it has its pros and cons. I think some of the pros are people have an opportunity to have money in their pocket that can help them, that can help their families sooner than making it to the NFL. Back then, you had to be in the league, whatever league you were in, to see those dollars. But we're having
Right.
people see that in college. We're having people able to fly their family across the country to see them play sports. So I think it could be a beautiful thing. But on the other hand, I have kind of read stories and seen things about athletes
Yeah.
not necessarily putting out on the court or on the field how they would if the money wasn't attached, or feeling like I'm not going to this school unless they pay me this much amount in NIL. So we're seeing some of that where it's becoming less about the sport and more about the dollars. And working in this social media space, I always tell people a big part is being good at your sport. That's like the first
Yeah,
step.
about that.
That's like the first step to getting the dollars. Now we do
Right.
see some people who have a big name and they may get some dollars, but step one is, you know, you need to put out in your sport. And then they come
Right.
and want to know, can you represent us? You look at LeBron James and all of them. We knew them first because they produced. Now
Absolutely.
it's not really flipped. So a lot of
Right.
times
Right.
when I talk to young athletes, I always say like the NIL is great, but make sure that you're not forgetting, you know, how you got to this point or why you got to this point. And I also hear parents too. I talk to a lot of parents and they say, you know, I don't want my child to focus on NIL right now. I want them to focus on playing the sport. And it's because they realize that when that money start coming in, you may feel like you don't have to go as hard. Like I'm good, even if this don't work out, whatever. I was talking to someone, we were watching the NBA draft the other day, and the guy was saying, you know, I feel like the emotions are different. Back in the day, people were breaking down, crying, oh my gosh, this is my moment. But now it doesn't seem like the emotion is there. And we kind of had a conversation about how NIL may have a role in that. Back then, making it to the league means your family and your life is about to change. But now you're seeing those dollars, some in high school, some in college. So, you know, who's to say if that has a play on the emotions, but you know, it's interesting to talk about. So I would say I think NIL is powerful. It can change lives, but I would just caution athletes and parents to make sure you don't forget about the student athlete part. Get it done in the classroom, get it done on the court, and that will come. But if you forget about that part because you just got a $500 check to wear somebody t-shirt, that may be your last $500 check. So
Absolutely.
you got to get it done in all the aspects and the dollars will come.
Right. I love what you said in all aspects. You talked about the draft. I want to drill in on that myself personally for a second, because I've seen all these conversations on social media, and that draft was very interesting the other night. The first standpoint that I thought about was the fact that all these non-American born student athletes are being drafted. Now, and then I'm trying to figure out, Britnee, why all these kids in America, when you ask them what they want to be when they grow up, and I guess I do understand why. I'm a former student athlete. I understand why. But I'm concerned about the fact that it seems like it has been no breakdown of these students, athletes, understand that they really might not make it to the league, and it's most likely they're not. And it's like, how can every single one of y'all sit here in this day and age with all this social media, with all these 24-hour news outlets, and you actually still believe, and I'm 5'8", Britnee. I'm 5'8". I understood I wasn't going. I pretty much knew I wasn't going to the NFL, even when I was being recruited to play ball in college, because I understood there was a huge difference, size-wise, speed. I mean, I was always pretty fast, but size-wise, speed-wise, strength-wise, there's a major difference between even high school. Well, I go all the way down elementary to middle school. There's a difference. Middle school to high school, there's a difference. High school to college, there's a difference in the kind of athletes that are participating. And I'm still trying to figure out how all these parents can allow their quote unquote student athletes to not prepare academically, thinking that they're going to the NBA or the NFL, and the percentages are this small.
Very true.
I'm talking about it's this small. It might be even smaller.
Yep.
But they don't want to teach their kids how to read, write, do math, science, learn how to talk and speak.
Yeah.
And they think they're going to make it. And like you say, I'm glad you said you get that one, you might get a deal, $500 here, $1,000 here, $2,500 here. Or you might be even one of the big dogs. They get a major deal, a $100,000 plus deal or something like that, which is some decent money. But it might, like you said, it might be the only money you get for being an athlete before you go pro. And the chance of you going pro is slim to none.
Yep. It is very true.
So I'm and I'm not asking you for the answer per se, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that further, on the mental part of this thing, of why so many, especially our young people, when I'm talking about African Americans, is still in 2024 are still thinking like this, versus, hey man, I need to show my child, and I'm talking about the coaches too. We need to show these young people that they're more than athletes, that they can become doctors, lawyers, attorneys, police officers, HVAC technicians, plumbers. I mean, it's a multi actuaries, start their own businesses, whatever industry they choose to do. Why are we not putting the same emphasis in that than we're doing as trying to produce all these specific, I mean, football and basketball players? If tell me if I'm wrong, Britnee, if I saw in that draft the other night, 21 non-American players drafted out of 58 slots.
Wow.
And in the top, I think in the top 10, if I'm not mistaken, it was 6 non-American players. I know the first 2 were French players. I know that for sure. And I think there were 4 non-American born basketball athletes that were chosen in the top 10 of them.
The pool keeps getting
I know everybody knows about it gets bigger and bigger, right? So I understand everybody upset about Britnee being drafted in the second round at number 55, which is ridiculous because that's a developmental pick by far. It was the 3rd pick before the draft ended. It was almost at the end of the draft when he got picked. And y'all thought he took somebody's slot. Well, no, it's the non-American born athletes that have been playing pro ball since they're 16 that are taking a lot of NBA slots. And I saw nobody on social media talking about that.
Yeah, I think
what are your thoughts?
Get your thoughts. Yeah, for sure. And I'm seeing it too in college conversations. A lot of times there was so much excitement about the incoming recruits and but we're seeing transfers now take those spots. So less scholarships are coming to the seniors coming out of school, and we're seeing people want a quarterback that's played 2 years of junior college or played a few years of D3 to come in and be their D1 starter. So I think in general, the pool for everything is just getting larger and larger, and things are changing. So if you don't have anything to fall back on, and even if it's not fall back, if you're still pursuing that league dream more than anything, just make sure you have other things in order. And that's one reason why I love the WNBA specifically. Most of those women, I think you have to be 21 or 22 to enter the league. By that time, they've gotten their 4-year degrees. So, and they know it's slim to nothing. There's only 36 spots in the WNBA draft. So it's like, you really right here. And then we're talking international players and everything. So it's like, at the end of the day, they get cut tomorrow. Most of them have their degrees. So I think, to your point, it's just important to have your things in order. Me, I didn't play sports at the collegiate level, but it's like, okay, I was in college to get my degree. I went into my first job, didn't really like my first job that much. So I'm like, okay, what other skills can I develop? I went back and got my master's, different things. So whatever field you're in, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a professional, whatever it is, just having your things in order so that you have something to fall back on. You have something to bring bread home to your family, because it's hard. And the same way people are losing jobs, we talk about AI taking jobs and stuff. We're seeing people take other jobs. People, I should have been that pick and I should have been whatever. But it's like, but you're not though. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So I think it's so important to have those academics in order, figure out what you're going to do, because nothing is promised. I mean, it's hard getting a regular job, so to say, out of school. So nothing is promised. But if you don't have your education in order, it's going to be really hard for you.
Wow, I love it. Thank you for that additional insight. Because I'm very concerned about that in this day and age. And so we're going to continue to push that objective, that agenda, that narrative of, hey, young people, you are smart enough to do a lot of great things on this planet other than play sport. Now, I'm a sports guy. I want you to play. I want you to go as far as you can go, because without sports, I most likely would not be in front of you right now if it wasn't for sport. So shout out to my mom, shout out to my dad for putting me into soccer early. That was my first sport I ever played. Then I navigated over to football and baseball. So I say thank you to my parents for doing that. However, young people, my parents specifically always stressed academic. Like I couldn't even play ball. I couldn't even go to practice sometimes if I didn't have my schoolwork in order.
Right.
Before I went. That's how serious my parents were. And for me specifically and my brother, it wasn't a question were we going to college. It was just what college we were going to. That's all it was.
Right.
And I knew that I knew that before I got out of elementary school. So I want to throw a word out there for all my parents, all my coaches, all my youth service providers. It's called expectations. Our young people are going to move on what they're expected to do in their households and on their teams and in the classroom and the whole nine. So I'm expanding this out to teachers as well.
Yeah.
We get a chance to set the expectations for our personal, our direct children and the children that are in our service, that are in our care as coaches and teachers and educators and the whole nine. We can actually set expectations for our young people, set up our curriculum and the way we manage our situations properly, and watch our kids just grow into these amazing people that will watch this world. I'm going to throw another word out there. I know this is going to scare some people, but it's going to make them self-sufficient. How about that? And that's what we want our young people to become, self-sufficient. Young people that can grow into some outstanding people that can take care of themselves and their families when that time comes. So, man, I love Britnee. Thank you for this amazing insight. And as we finish up our conversation, what would you like to say to the student athletes that watch this video, to the parents that watch this video, the coaches, and anybody that works with young people that are watching this video? They're getting to see Britnee Davis for the first time, all-inclusive sports, sports award-winning journalist, social media strategist. What would you like to say to everyone as we close out today?
Yeah, first I would say school first. That student in front of the athlete is so important. Like, just please know that. I know y'all probably tired of your coaches and your parents saying it, but it's so important. Like, I know people who are not able to play at the high school level because they don't have a 2.0. I know people who were supposed to go to this big D1 school, but they could not get accepted into the school on the athletic scholarship. You have to be admitted into the school. I know people who have not been admitted into the school and they have had to go D2, D3, JUCO, and they were supposed to be that top tier athlete. So that student aspect is so important. Even for myself, like I knew early, I really didn't want to take playing basketball very far. And my parents would ask me, well, what you gonna do? And I was able to get academic money to go to the University of Florida. So like, things may change. You never know what can happen in your life. And prayerfully, you go all the way to the top, because I know that's the goal for a lot. But like, having that education in order is so important. So please focus in on the student as much as you focus on the athlete, if not 10 times more. So I'll speak to that part first. The second thing I'll say is just remember what I said about using social media. Don't let it use you. See it as a way to broadcast yourself. See it as a way to build your brand. Again, be safe with it. Know what you want to post. Know what's too much. Know what's too personal. Be open with your parents. Make sure your parents okay. Don't have no secret Instagram they don't know about. But it's such a great way for people to know who you are. I've seen media stories come from a tweet that they found. I used to work as a TV news journalist. We would look on Twitter all day, on Facebook all day for stories. Post those 10 scholarships you have, whether it be academic, whether it be athletic. Post about it. You just had a great dunk, post the dunk. You had a great touchdown, post it. Okay. You just never know who's watching you. That could be the gateway to a call from a coach. That could be a chance for you to be featured on your local news. That could be the key to a brand deal with whatever type of company that you broadcasted in your post. So just know that like social media is a tool, and it's a great tool if you use it that way, but just be careful. Make sure you're being smart about it. But above all, please make sure you're getting it done in school and in your field of play. Everything else will come, but it starts there.
Look, two things as we close out. Be smart about it, what you post on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at, you just heard from a social media strategist. That's what she does with All-InKlusive Sports. She can actually train all of us how to post better, how to operate our social media pages medium platforms better. And you just heard it. Use social media. Don't let social media use you. Be careful on what you post and how you use your platforms. And be a student first. I like to say, be a lifelong learner. Always be open to learning, and most definitely, always be open to putting in the work. If you don't put in the work, it's nothing you're gonna get out of it. You got to put the work in first, and then everything else takes care of itself. Understanding that, young people, you have an opportunity that generations of student athletes before you had not had. And that's this NIL situation. People fought for student athletes to be able to actually receive compensation, financial compensation as an amateur athlete. And now that day is here. But like Britnee said, this is David said, you have to handle your business in the classroom. You have to handle your business in your particular sport. Here's a word I haven't used all day, and here it is. Mediocre. You cannot be mediocre and expect to receive the same treatment as the superstar. It doesn't work. You have to be above average in something, be it academically, be it your character, be it something. You have to be above average. Mediocre doesn't work. So I want to leave you with those words. You cannot be mediocre. Choose to be the best in everything you do. And the people that have heard me speak, the ones that I've worked with at your schools, you know, I always work with this in mind. Vision, goals, habits, focus, and working. Let me say it again. Vision, goals, habits, focus, work ethic. If you can master those 5 things in your life, everything else is going to be taken care of. And at the end of the day, you got to put it in there. That's what I have to say. Britnee, I'm going to give you time to say one more thing if you need to say anything else. You said a lot, but I love the way you ended it. Is there anything else you want to share with the awesome people watching this video?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to have me on here. Like I share with you, I'm used to doing the interviewing. I'm used to kind of being on the other side of the conversation. So it was really cool just to be able to share my knowledge and what I do. And I've already let you know this, but if anyone needs that social media training, if anyone wants that extra help, please reach out. Barry has my contact information. You find me on social media, wherever. Like, please reach out. I am very, very open to helping people, and I want people to build their brand, whether you go on and make millions or not. Like, it's just important to know how to navigate this social media world, because at this point is in everything we do. So yeah.
Absolutely. Give your social media handles that you want how people to contact you. Right.
Yeah. So you can find my All-InKlusive Sports page at All-InKlusive Sports on Instagram. It's All-InKlusive with the K. And then on everywhere you can find me at Britnee M. Davis, Britnee M. Davis, Davis. And that's across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the things.
Awesome. Thank you very much for choosing to spend this time with us today. And thank you to every single person that watched the video. I saw people popping in and out while we were talking. So thank y'all for popping in. For the people that are watching this video, the replay of this video, we thank you. If you need to get in touch with us, it is Britnee Davis, All-InKlusive Sports with a K. And I am Barry Brown, author of the Amazon bestseller, The Student Athlete Playbook, Success in the Classroom, Sports, and Life. Of course, you can get it on Amazon. Just type in Student Athlete Playbook. It'll pop up the journal and the facilitator's guide. And also locally here in Metro Atlanta, Georgia, you can stop by Nubian Books out in Southlake, near Southlake area, near Morrow. Shout out to the Morrow Mustangs and everything, the old stomping grounds. And you can also go over to Southwest Atlanta, my original stomping grounds where I was born, over in Southwest Atlanta. You can stop by Greenbrier Mall and visit Nubian. I'm sorry, I'm about to mix them up. Madu Bookstore, Sister Nia at Madu Bookstore over there in Greenbrier Mall. Stop in, get your copies of Student Athlete Playbook. And of course, always be on the lookout for Youth Education and Sports, the nonprofit organization where we're putting in that work. We're here to help the young people get to where they want to get to in life, and we're going to continue on that mission. So, hey, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that you go to our YouTube page, check out all our videos, and we'll be right back with another outstanding person like Miss Davis to have a video conversation with. I love. Take care.